you expected doing your first scene. She had me doing moonsaults off the top rope.
Oh my
God. Sarah
God.
had implants.
I feel like I know of it somewhere. Why?
Why not? I mean, I thought about it for a long while before I did it. I mean, I got a lot of uproar from the whole industry, but who are they to judge me?
Yeah, I mean, what are they?
They can all go to hell. They don't pay my bills.
No, you got a point.
And that's that.
Hi, welcome to a brand new episode of Off the Rails with me, Jasmin St. Clair. Clearly, I know that I have to start a little bit earlier today, but I thank you so much for joining me. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube station, Crazy Train Podcast, and you could also see the restreams of these. So without further ado, and hi guys, hey Jamal, and thanks so much for joining me early, everyone. I really appreciate it. So without further ado, I have one of my favorite guests who's been on my show. She was one of my earlier guests on Crazy Train Podcast, a gorgeous, gorgeous, busty Latina beauty, Miss Marcela Alonso. And let's welcome her in. I love her shades or her glasses, but no, I think I like her backdrop because she has like a neon sign. We'll see. Hi. Oh my God. Do you have neon in the background?
Yeah, it's my production company. You can't see it as good as yours, but yeah. So I just use my head so it doesn't cover. And I took the glasses off because I just needed it to make sure I logged in because I was so worried about, logging in correctly.
I got to wear my glasses on a daily basis. Like sometimes I think I see a really hot guy from across the way. Then, oh my God, I was waving at this guy once at the gym. I thought it was my neighbor. It wasn't. Then I had this creepy guy walking over trying to talk to me. I'm like, never mind. I thought you're someone else. He's like, oh, I could be anyone you want me to be. I'm like, nah.
Oh. No.
But nothing happened with the neighbor. It's been crazy. So what have you been up to? Because I know for a while you had Sunday Fun Day with Marcela on Instagram. What are your projects these days?
I took it off IG because it's too much. I didn't want to, I got monetized on both Facebook and IG. So that's part of my income. And I had to limit my guests all the time because of, how complicated Meta can be. So I just took it on to doing a regular podcast. So, and I have two different ones.
Okay.
I have Marcela Alonso Sunday Fun Day, which is comics as stand-up comedians. And then also I have Get Schooled with Marcela Alonso. And that's more about the adult entertainment, but people who have been in at least 10 years, or old school people.
Yeah, I want to. Oh, yeah. And I still have to give you a date. So, yeah, anytime that week, by the way, is great. I want to go on your podcast because I think nowadays with things like TikTok and other things in social media, they're really misinforming girls.
It's such. Yep. That's why I made Get Schooled, because there's so many misforming, and things are a lot different than when we were young. There's a lot of opportunities. And now that I like, we didn't have all that back, all these things to take advantage of. And there's Twitch and there's YouTube and there's all different ways to make money. And the industry takes a toll on you long term.
Yeah. Well, in many ways, I think when we did porn back then, we didn't really get that it's a lifelong thing, right?
Right. Well, I never did, but I never filmed any adult stuff, but it was even getting into the business altogether, and any type of, because I was mostly worked at gentlemen's clubs. It's still, you know what I'm saying? It still takes a toll on you, no matter what form, under the umbrella of sex work. It still takes if you're in it long term, or you're in it for a while, after a while, something's going to suffer, relationships or family.
Yeah, I could relate on the whole relationships end. I just had this discussion with Vic Legina last week. Dating in the business is super. Did you ever go on a date and someone recognized you like from the business, or do you just not discuss that with someone?
Now my approach, because I've been to therapy and I'm in Brooklyn. It's a lot more liberal. There's a term called ENM, ethical non-monogamy. And basically from now on, I'm telling people that's what I am. But in reality, ENM for me is, it's me opening up about the business that I've been in without no judgment. Somebody's going to have to accept it. So it's that particular person that's open-minded is going to have to, and that's very hard to find somebody that's that. And Vic, I've had Vic on my show too. I understand he goes through the same stuff we go through.
Yeah. I mean, who would have figured, right? And he's a director. He's not even like doing porn.
No. Anybody, it just takes a toll, and it's a certain type of person that is open-minded that's going to understand that also is not going to live off you. That's another whole issue.
Suitcase pimp?
Yes, exactly. So anybody ever I date, I personally like to be honest with who they are, with what I've done, in my past. And I'm not ashamed, because I put my kids through college and I wasn't sitting there on welfare or any, that's the thing that really gets me. And I've paid my taxes, I deserve respect.
Yeah, why don't we pay our taxes? I forgot to file my taxes. I think I have an extension though. So E&M, okay, I gotta ask you,
non-monogamy.
ethical not, is that like an open relationship? Like it's the
Well,
first time? Yeah.
So with me, it isn't that it's open, it's the fact that, because I still have an OF and I can't afford to just get rid of it. You get what I'm saying? So if I was to date somebody, they're going to have to accept that part of my life and not have an issue, with it, still the form of sex work that I have to do. And then I still do, there's a site that I use that for phone calls and video calls. So if I date somebody, they're going to have to be okay with this. And that's the non-monogamy part, because I'm actually working still in the business. But that doesn't mean, but it's also communication. That doesn't mean I'm going to, E&M means different things for different people. But if I meet somebody, they kind of have to be okay. It doesn't mean, like, I don't believe in that polyamory for me. I really don't. That's not my generation.
I don't get that. Yeah, I was dating this guy once who was into that type of shit, into swingers clubs. Some of these people, he was like, I'm like, dude, this isn't for me. These people are nasty, man.
Yeah. So the polyamory is just personally not for me, but I just need somebody that's open-minded, that gets it. It's a business, they just take the right person.
Are you shooting boy-girl scenes on your OnlyFans?
Mm-mm.
So this is more of an emotional thing. Is this, I'm just trying to understand, because I guess it's to each, it's everyone, it means something different. But to you, is it an emotional thing where you're going to have to talk sexy to other people? Is it other girls?
Even when I was a stripper, though, I had difficult dating. When I was just a stripper, I was a stripper. I never shot films. I had difficulty there. And you think about working in a topless club. I remember dating a guy and he making an issue about it. And I'm like, and putting me down for it. So I had my bottoms on.
Wait, where'd you meet this guy?
This was a while. I remember when I first went to Vegas, I remember dating civilians. I call them squares. And he had every guy. So that's why I kind of say we're all under this umbrella and we all kind of have this same issue, no matter what, but I've always since I've been 17 years old.
17?
Yeah. Cause I started young in the club. Like I snuck in one club. Yeah. Yeah. That's what, and Florida just changed it to 21 and up. And I got kind of in trouble because I go, what, I'm on the fence about this, because even though I started young, because I had a child out of wedlock, even though I started young, I saw how some girls started young and still got involved with pimps, drank, and just didn't do the right thing. Hi, Jamal. I know Jamal's so good.
Jamal's like, and my friend Lizzie just stopped on. Hi, Lizzie. I love you. And Mike Stack. I know you, Paul. Hi, Paul. Paul's awesome. Hi, Scott and Captain Caveman. But 17 years, I just think like guys get the wrong idea. So when I was doing adult films, okay, I was dating this guy. Some people know this story. Hi, Alan. So, and Ian. So there was this guy, and Lizzie knows him. Okay, his name was Earl. He was a male performer.
Mhm.
But then there was the playgirl, the Papi Chulo is what I call him, because he was younger. He was a playgirl centerfold. So the Papi Chulo and I were still having a thing because Earl, the male performer, he's fucking some girl off camera, right? Like I wanted to cut his dick off, but I didn't. He ended up dying anyway. I said that's another story. But yeah, so not because of me. So then Papi Chulo and I still had this thing going, right? And then Papi Chulo came up like 2 balconies up to my apartment. This is so hot, by the way, because we had an argument earlier that day because he wanted to be the main piece.
Mhm.
He's in my fucking living room. I just like, because I was in the room, another room on the phone speaking to someone. I started freaking out. And this is shortly after the O.J. Simpson trial. So you call the cops. I beat his ass, girl, and I was throwing knives at him. The cops came and they're like, well, what's going on? I said I was mad. I didn't want to leave a message for him, and I hung up and he's in my living room. They let us go, by the way.
Mhm.
And that was that. But he was like bruised from me. It's just weird how this works. But we engaged in a relationship for a while. But here's the thing. It's like he wanted the anal sex because he saw me doing on camera, right? And then they want the same treatment at home. I don't like getting fucked in the ass. I really don't. And I don't want to do that.
And
you know,
it's different than at home.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
don't take my safe space away from me. Did you ever feel as though you had your safe space taken away from you when you're working at a club and trying to engage in a relationship at home, trying to do real married life, as I call it?
Oh yeah. Just guys get the wrong idea all the time, just dating or talking. And that's when I just recently I remember some guy, he said the most stupidest things ever. Like, yeah, like, and I was just so turned off. Like, so I hear it all the time. You know, they were like, somebody, they were like, oh, I want to film with you. And I'm like, well, I don't film with guys, you know, like, and what else did they say to me? They're like, oh, you must be shooting all the time for your OF. And I'm like, not really. Like, yeah, people get they don't know. Things are so different, you know, than what reality is. People don't know. That's why I kind of like doing the podcasting. Don't you like it better?
I love it. But you got to understand, like, what those 2 guys think they know you. Like, they'll watch your podcast, and it's not anyone that I see visually right now here. Usually on the restreams, you get people that will watch the whole thing through. Then I know that about you. Like, I can't like, you know, I can't be in a relationship right now because imagine walking home and you're in the middle of my madness of a live stream, or you're in the middle of the madness of anything I'm doing. And I want my space, truthfully. I don't really want to date anyone. Because I'm super difficult. I'm very difficult to understand. Like I'm one of them. I don't know. I'm a very complicated person. Huh?
When's your birthday?
The 23rd of October.
So you're Scorpio, right?
Uh-huh.
Usually Scorpios, but you're hard to. But usually Scorpio women, I don't know. I understand Scorpio women because you guys are pretty simple to me, and I'm a Gemini. I get. Just don't mess with
date.
Huh?
Let's date. We'll go on a date, you and me. No, it's simple, but at the same time, it's the madness of the Jasmin world because it's I'm Jasmin. That's it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And this is pretty common in the industry, Mike is saying. And you don't take your work home with you, but here's the thing. I wonder if people fall in love with what you do and they get seduced by that, and then somehow they have this whole as long as I didn't ask you to pay the bill at the restaurant, like I'm good. Did you ever have anyone ask you to like split the bill on a first date because you possibly make more than they do because of porn or OnlyFans?
Yeah, not too long ago, guy was like, just come over or whatever. And he was far away. And I'm like, it's Uber 70 or 80 bucks. I'm like, no, thank you. You know what I'm saying? So I just said it straight. But I've had that happen. People think you make more money. It'll be friends, mostly like so-called friends. They think you're going to cover, and I have to just call them out.
Well, yeah, I had a guy take me to the movies, and then he wanted me to like pay for the parking. So
Oh,
after he bought the
hell
tickets,
no.
I'm like, yeah, excuse me, I'll be right back. I just left. I think I took an Uber home that night too. I'm like, I'm not fucking sitting out like this. What do you think is the biggest misconception about you from guys when you meet them, aside from the fact that we're easy?
Biggest misconception that they have about me. Yeah, they all seem to have thought I've done porn when I've actually never have.
It's
All the time.
interesting.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've never have. And they're like, you haven't? And I'm like, no. Like, why do you think? All the time. Nothing against it. It just never fell on my cards.
You're lucky it didn't, because that's an even worse stigma. But I think there's some serious parallels. Thank you, Lizzie. But I just think, yeah, it's parallels, because when you're stripping, people think that, okay, you want to come home and you want to do a lap dance. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They do think you're easy. They think you're on drugs or you're drinking. That's another thing. And I rarely drink. I'm like a 1 or 2 drink. If I do go out, it's 1 drink. 2 is the most, and that's it. I'm kind of boring.
What's your go-to drink?
Moscow Mule.
What is in a Moscow Mule? I see it all the time. I just haven't had one.
It's good, and it's like a ginger beer. I believe vodka, a lime, and then something maybe. But I've heard different variations, and I enjoy each and every variation.
I gotta try this, man. Like, I feel like I have to
Usually
get on this.
they
Yeah.
put it in a certain type of. I've stolen so many cups too from places. I'm bad where I'm like, oh, they'll put it in a little can. And usually if a place does it, they make a good one. If they don't, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, add cherries into it. Lizzie's saying, I think I'll probably have to do this. I can make more. Cherry mule. Yeah. See, Lizzie's like big on her drinks. She's a friend of mine. She has a really cool t-shirt printing company, and they make these like horror, like rock and horror apparel. So it's like all these heavy metal and horror things. And it's nice to see like girls get out of the business and have all these other endeavors. What do you plan on doing? Like when you decide that it's time to just hang it up, you don't want to have the OnlyFans. What do you think it'd actually end up doing? Have a gift store, a brothel? I don't know.
I'm in the process right now. So I have 2 podcasts. I opened up a production company. I'm taking writing classes. I'm SAG like you are. So I'm actually trying to do some writing and trying to produce some stuff.
So what kind of productions are you going to start doing? And do I have to blow you for a job?
No.
In the casting couch? Come on.
No. Right now I'm just doing the podcast, but I'm just learning different writing techniques. Like I took a pilot writing class. I've taken different writing classes, trying to perfect something to pitch in the future, or to possibly do like with SAG, they have the low budget indie film agreement. So I'm also working on that. I kind of want to tell like reality stories about, people like us in the business, so people could see a different light. Because I'm over, you know how TV portrays us and everybody else. Yeah, the image.
Yeah, I just did the Jerry Springer documentary. It comes out in October.
Oh.
They were looking for the right person from the business to have on there that wasn't a train wreck. They had asked me to be on Life After Porn, but I wasn't the proper train wreck that they wanted because I have my shit together. And I wasn't there for a fucking reunion, like that's for sure.
Yeah.
I like some people I'm cool with. I know this sounds petty, but some people I'm not, especially ones that smell like piss at conventions. So yeah, I think it's great to do. You'd be perfect for doing this. I was pitching a show before about dating with this. So who knows, maybe we'll collaborate. It'll be so much fun because there's so many ideas out there, but I think you have a great chance of pitching something and it getting sold in this temperature as well.
Yeah, no, that's what my goal is. but I'm also trying to learn. I'm at UCB and I'm going to go somewhere else for another.
You went to UCB?
Yeah.
I went to UCB. I graduated there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Okay. So I went through the whole, I went there, then I went to, then I did Second City and I went through the conservatory, then the grad review, and then I did Groundlings and I went through their whole grad program. I like UCB, but I'll be honest with you, I had a much better experience at Second City because when you get to grad review, it's writing your own sketch comedy and it teaches you how to collaborate with like assholes. Well, not everyone's an asshole, just a couple of them were. And then you just get the show and put it up. But it was so much fun, but so many fucktards in the room. You learn how to deal with a real writer's room.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing experience. I think it's great you're at UCB. Are you going to take improv as well or just the writing workshop?
No, I'm just taking writing classes and then I'm going to go on to something else.
Yeah.
So it just, it's the early stages of me doing stuff. And I have my production company and then learning how to pitch stuff and everything to get out. And then also there's a part of me that I thought, there's a lot of porn actresses and like you have your SAG card, you understand. And I got that in the SAG insurance before the strike, of course. And what it would be a great thing if I could start a production in some of the porn girls and help them get like SAG insurance. And that way they have a way out.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've thought about that. That's what I kind of was thinking because people just get in the industry, the whole song and dance. And it's, I want to like kind of give back to people and have productions and show real life of what's going on. So, but it's like I said, it's in the very, very early stages of everything that I'm doing. And it's been work.
Let me know when you're casting. So I'll get on the casting.
Remember, I told you were the one person that always, I would look at you in those Night Moves magazine and inspired me.
Well, thank you. Only for good things. Master Blaster wants to know, would be apprehensive about, I think what he means to say is, would you be apprehensive about dating a guy that has his own OnlyFans? Is he gay? Oh, well, yeah. Would you go date a guy that's on OnlyFans?
If some people have it, but they don't use it. I don't know about me seeing a performer though. I don't think I would be personally, I wouldn't want to be with somebody really too much in the business because I'm trying to exit the business.
No, I get you. I feel you on that.
And because I don't know how many years it's been in, these new people I'm not comfortable with. Personally, I just don't, because you know what I'm saying? Like, I have other stuff going on. I don't want to be with somebody. Oh, let's go shoot. Let's go. No. Like I'm working on, somebody has to align with me altogether.
You're a Gemini, honey. It might take two people to align with you, babes, not one. No. Yeah. I dated a Gemini once and I ended up kicking him so hard in the balls. I think I ripped his foreskin. For some reason, he didn't want to like hang out after that. And I got him like backstage passes to a concert as well. So I'm like, that's like so ungrateful of you. I wouldn't have kicked you again because you already pissed me off once. But yeah, I think it's such a tough thing. And I think if it's two people dating in the business of like adult things, like whether it's OnlyFans or porn, and one wants to branch off and move ahead in life, it's what causes so many breakups,
Right.
Solo stuff. So now he wants to know, would you date a guy who did solo stuff? How do you do solo stuff if you're a guy? Never mind. Yeah, it's still the same thing. Like, I think, you got to always move forward in life. Now, this is great about the production company. I'm really proud about you. I'm very, very proud that you're doing this and you're taking all these classes. What's the next step after this, aside from podcasting and then your production studio? Are you going to start writing things? Have you started to write stuff?
Yeah, I've started to write stuff, but it's just a matter of, pitching and getting the film crew and all that. And then filming it and coming up with the right story and all that. So it's work on my end. I'm kind of hoping though with the podcast, I got with a network recently. And I'm very happy about that because that's going to bring in more downloads. So I'm hoping with the podcast, I'm praying, please let me get enough that I could slowly get rid of OF.
I totally get it. And it's like a tough thing. Like once you get onto a network with the podcast and it's advertisers, sometimes you see like pennies to the dollar
Yeah.
and stuff. And this, like it'll happen. Like I can't wait to be in your podcast. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What kind of topics do you discuss on there?
Realities of sex work generally. And I've also had different issues, if it's not realities of sex work, if it's not a sex worker, I've brought in people like my doctor who took out my implants because I had my implants in for so long. It was time. And she talked about semaglutide and she talked about like testosterone pellets. So, and she's somebody that she's open-minded to people like us in the business. So she was somebody different that I brought in that wasn't a sex worker, but then also I've brought in people to talk about different lifestyles. So like I brought in a hot wife and, I learned some things I didn't know. I really didn't understand, but that was a recent episode. It's doing really, really good. And every June I do a LGBTQ month, and I bring on people and I let them talk because, as you know, TikTok is pushing all this crazy stuff, but we're not hearing from actual people. We're not hearing from the actual LGBTQ. We're hearing from other people.
Yeah, that's super important. I've had a guest like that on my other show. He owns a company, Gays Against Groomers, and like it's nice having the reality of like what's going on in that community and what they stand for versus some of the insanity or what some of us may feel as insanity. Now I got to get back to your pellets for a second. So I've been on pellets for like a year. I have to tell you, it's changed my life. But I know the best pellets out there are the Biote pellets. They should be paying me for this, because it's as close as possible to human growth, as a human levels or human testosterone, human estrogen, and it works like wonders. Like I've had such great results with that. So I'm all for it. And I have to get your doctor's information at some point because I'd like to have her on my wellness podcast. So Paul Corbin wants to know, who is your dream guest you would bring onto your podcast?
I have to think right now because I've had a lot of people.
That's alive.
You would be, because you were somebody that I truly, like when I was younger, looked up to. So you would be one of them. And then I would have to say, because I have two different podcasts. Right. So the other one, my comedy one, I would love to get Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias. That's a dream guest for the comedy one. I would love to get him because he's a huge Mexican name. I predominantly have Latin comics on because when I was like DMing comics, they were the ones to DM me back. And that's how I started. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I've got a Latino comedy, podcast there. And so he would be a dream guest. You probably would be a dream guest because you are somebody that I, looked up to when I remember looking at you in those Night Moves magazine.
I wish I had those still. God, thank you though.
You look the same.
Thank you.
You look the same because there's people that I've seen from back in the day that I'm like, oh my God, they don't look the same.
Yeah, I laid off the drugs, and I think like you're only as young as the people you fuck or you feel. So right now I feel about like 28 or 29, which is kind of old. But yeah, I think the nerve to tell 28-year-old guys they're too old for me. My God. And when you have that mentality, you're always going to stay young. I'm immature. Like if I was not immature, I don't know how I would have survived the pandemic. So I don't want, how old should you be when you start pellets? When you start depleting on your testosterone and estrogen, then you should start that shit. Because other than that, you don't just like stick it into your ass for no reason. That's flattering though. Thank you. That's so sweet of you. God, you're like making me blush. It's a good thing I don't have my lighting today. I just set up after the gym. Mondays, guys, are the more, we have the more relaxed podcast, the more laid back nights because it's Monday. We're just starting the week out. Is there something else you would have wanted to do with your life if you did not do stripping or get involved in adult entertainment, any version of it?
Something else that, just had a regular job, a regular life.
Like what though? Like define a regular job. Like,
I would have probably been happy doing I'll be honest, this wasn't I got very triggered. I saw like an IG and a girl goes, I used to fantasize when I was a kid. I didn't fantasize being in this industry. I came in it. So like being a lawyer, going to college, traveling the world, having a marriage. I didn't get to enjoy my kids when they were young because I always had to work. So it would have just been nice to be like a stay-at-home mom with my kids and, had like a normalcy. That's what I wanted. That's why I kind of made Get Schooled, because so many young girls, they don't realize what they're getting
Yeah.
into. So anything like that normalcy would have meant so much to me.
Now you got to share a creepy dating story, okay?
Uh-huh. A creepy dating story.
This is kind of creepy. Okay, so I met this guy in the street during the pandemic. And like I didn't have my contacts on. He was okay, so anyway, he had a bunch of tattoos. He looked like he could have been out of the LA County jail, but refined. Okay, fine. I can get down with that. You're not going to judge me. I'm not going to judge you. So I hooked up with him. Okay, let me tell you.
He was little?
Oh my God. Yeah, he wasn't that big. But then I'm looking at his tattoos on his arms. He had a tattoo of me on his arm, like he got when he was in jail. I'm like getting my clothes on. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get going now. So I left. I thought I like had him out of my hair completely because I blocked his number. He had my other number. He called, yeah, I was cleaning my car out and I found a switchblade knife. This has to be yours. I'm like, yeah, that's mine. I like met him in the street and just got it and like just left. Mind you, I put my worst foot forward that night. I almost got into a fist fight with a guy who was harassing us at a restaurant. I'm like, here, hold my earrings. I'm like getting my hair back ready to go. It was a guy just heckling people sitting at an outside dining place. It was right around when restaurants were starting to reopen. Because I really didn't want to be on this date. So I tried to put the worst foot forward, but it was just horrible. It was a very creepy thing on many levels. Have you ever had something creepy happen to you on a date? Like that was my creepiest moment ever on a date, by the way. What would you say your creepiest moment was?
I have to think. No, one time I met a guy for drinks and then he ordered a drink and he like wanted me to pay and I paid. I was like, and then I just left him there. Like he had the nerve to and I just left him there. I was like, okay, bye. And one time, this is the guy that was trying to eat my food.
Someone tried to eat your food?
Yes. One time, this was in Vegas, but mind you, okay, the story is I was supposed to meet this guy for like coffee or whatever, and because I had ate with a friend at a restaurant, I had leftovers that I was going to take home for me. And I just met this guy real quick. I forget if it was for coffee or whatever. I was just going to meet him real quick. And then he had the food there and he's like, you want that food? Like with his eyes all big. I'll take that. And I was like, no, I want the food. And I think I went to the bathroom and I left it there and he was sneaking and eating it. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like I told him something that I remember. And it was a guy, it wasn't really like an official, we planned on a date. It was like, we were meeting there for and I can't recall what it was, but I already had ate with a friend or something. It was weird. I remember.
But to meet someone in Vegas for coffee, it's just unheard of. I'm sorry. You think of Vegas, you think of drinks, you think of like dinner.
Maybe it was drinks or something, but we both sat down. We were going to talk. I had met them before. No, I was talking to them on the phone. I don't remember. This is like 15 years ago. So I don't remember all how we get down, but I remember I ate somewhere with a friend and I happened to have like a bag of food with me. And then we just sat down and because we were talking by the phone or whatever, and we finally meet. And it wasn't no formal date or anything, but they were like obsessed with the food that I had, which was weird.
What kind of a sicko does that? And by the way, just
after that, I remember I blocked their number. I never talked to them again because I was so turned off with it, like with the whole, oh, you have food? What do you want that food? And I was like, no, like, yeah, I want that food. Like, what the hell? I just had something to eat with my friend. I'm gonna take it home. Like,
You know who that sounds like? Like Ron, not, I know you didn't go on a date with Ron Jeremy, but with Ron Jeremy, what he would do is you'd be sitting at a table with him and other people. He
Mhm.
wouldn't order food, but he'd see what you have on your plate. Here, you finished with that? Next thing you know, like he's eating your food.
Oh.
You know? I know, right? Speaking of something more pleasurable, if you guys want to bring more pleasure and satisfaction into the bedroom, guys and girls, please be sure to go onto adamandeve.com, put in the code crazy train, that's crazy with a capital K, RAZY train, and get up to 50% off and a bunch of free gifts. So go to adamandeve.com today and do your due diligence, buy some gifts. For yourself or your wife or your mistress, whatever it is, or your secretary. So moving right along. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword being in the business in any form of adult and getting something normal in your life. And I think that's why a lot of people just settle for whatever they get. Do you have any pets?
Yeah, I have 3 dogs, 2 cats.
Dr. Doodle. You're like Dr. Doolittle then. Okay. Just have like
my 2 cats are like an old married couple right now, and they've been fighting like quite a bit, and the girl cat isn't eating. The boy cat bullies her. The boy cat has an interesting history because I got him from a girl that lived with what's his name? Marilyn Manson.
Oh, really?
I lived in LA. You would be interested in this story. This girl was dating him, and the cat lived with him, and she did Rover, and she left the cat. My partner was doing Rover at the time, right?
Right.
And she left the cat for a full month at my house, and she went to go pick it, but I guess she was breaking up with him or whatever, or she isn't somebody famous that was with him, but the cat lived with Marilyn Manson and this chick, and she didn't get the cat. And 5 years later, that was longer than that. It was 2017. I still have the cat. Wow. And my cat had an issue with consent, the black cat. His name's Draven. Yeah.
I love black cats. My cat's all black.
So he's a little chunky monkey. But he kind of, for a while, he would the other tabby cat, who's very sweet and feminine, had little consent issues, and I'm like, where did he pick this up from?
That's so weird.
And so they're fighting, but they're getting along, and she doesn't eat so much because he bullies her now for the food.
Maybe that's why she doesn't eat. Like, he's made her really self-conscious about herself, which is really
not.
I
think so. Yeah,
it's crazy because a few days ago, actually, I just want to make sure he's not moving. So I have this friend of mine, and she's dating this guy. They broke up, right? So check this out. Like, he's telling her, I met the love of my life, blah, 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 the online. This is really going to work out. And if I stay with you, I don't think I'll ever have a chance at anything better than this. She walked by a restaurant and she sees him sitting there with this girl, right? And I'm doing that on purpose. You'll find out why in a second.
Okay.
With a nice bottle of wine, like white wine, it was a very nice place, like a nice meal. It's a fucking drag queen from like the drag bar that she goes to, but it wasn't in the full drag. No, it wasn't dressed in drag, but it was it was something across drag. It was trans because it had surgery and had the nice hair, the delicate bones and everything.
But the guy she was dating.
Yeah, he dumped her for a trans woman. Then it's there with a nice bottle of wine, and let me tell you, he never bought her a bottle of wine at any restaurant the whole time.
I thought she didn't know this person was I thought it was.
Oh no, she didn't know. The guy didn't know that it was a trans afterwards either, and it was this whole thing because my friend knows the trans person from drag shows because she hangs out at those places. But yeah, she said something to him after. It was really very interesting. Just another nightmare date story. I don't know, just random because I'm just looking at a bottle of white wine from where I'm sitting. And a lot, like when you get older, I mean, the alcohol levels go down. I'm good with 2 drinks for the whole week. Like,
yeah,
even if I get past that.
I've noticed that too, like 1 or 2 and I'm good, but I don't even crave I can live without alcohol. I don't need alcohol in my home.
Yeah, me too. It's not the
Yeah.
best thing. What's your ethnic background?
Cuban and Puerto Rican.
That's trouble.
It's
It's sexy, but trouble it really is. And like I know that we said before a lot of opportunities for adult film stars. Do you think that what do you think some of the opportunities are now that they didn't have back in the day?
Well, for anybody thinking that what I'm talking about is these girls that open up an OF and they say this or whatever, I've seen women leave good paying jobs to go open OF, and they're just doing things. That there was a woman picking up her kids and the sticker, and it's there. People are they're acting up nowadays. They're acting up. They don't know how to behave. Like, and my father always said, when in Rome, do as Romans do, have respect. I just think, like, for 18-year-olds, like, you've got Uber Eats, you've got all these different things, like, ways to make money. We didn't have the computer. Like, you can go on Twitch. People are going on Twitch. You can make content. I made a lot of money with Meta last year, just making reels.
Yeah.
And so there's so many different ways because of the new age that you really don't like going to the adult world. Like, you'll hear a lot of money, but there's people are not really telling the truth of everything. You're going to pay long-term more on stuff.
That's true. A lot of younger girls get involved in it. Then on TikTok, they're giving advice on this stuff, and these girls
it's terrible.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
I see it all the time.
And it kind of, the day I started I remember the first couple of days I started stripping, I listened to the oldest stripper in the room who had been doing it the longest. And she was telling me and schooling me, and I sat there and I had respect and I listened to her. But these new people coming in, I call them pandemic Beckies that started during the pandemic. They think they know it all. They think they know it all.
Pandemic Becky. I love it. That's my new terminology. Yeah, I think a lot of them are tourists as well. What was the first club you stripped at?
2001 Odyssey in Tampa, Florida.
That's where, okay, Night Moves, Florida. Yeah, I liked I like the clubs in Florida. One thing I remember about those places, did I feature there?
I remember you were just always in Night Flirts because everybody else was blonde.
Fuck them.
Yeah, and you were the only. I was like, oh, look, she looks like me. She's a brunette. She's exotic. I didn't know what you were. I didn't know your ethnicity. Because it was just like Jasmin St. Clair, and so, which was a very, there was no representation for people that look like me.
I think my friend Mark is still in the chat. Mark used to book me, or he worked with someone that was booking me back in the 90s. Where was it in Tampa that I was besides Deja Vu? Did I ever make it to Space Odyssey? I know I didn't go to Mons Venus. I think I was at Space Odyssey.
Yeah. Then I went over to Mons Venus. You would have never worked. Mons Venus never had any feature dancers at all.
Well, then that's their loss. How dare they?
Well, to be honest, like that owner, and he was one of the best owners out of all the strip clubs I worked at, though. He was a very good guy to us. Yeah.
Well, then you don't want to have features there, trust me, because we were evil. I would put one place where the girls, I was at the UFO. What the fuck are you talking about, Mark? Was there a UFO at Space Odyssey 2001?
Yes, that was
okay. Then I was there. Yeah, then I did work there. Okay, so one place I went to, a club, some of the girls weren't very nice. So I unscrewed the shower in their dressing room and put Vaseline. Then I put the shower head back on. That's like one of many things. Or just get candle wax all over the stage. That was like my favorite thing, just getting hot wax all over the stage because they can't clean it off. Or they would just have to, slip and slide and just deal with it, Yeah. Right, Mark? Yeah, they had complaints from some clubs, but they always brought me back. It was a fun time back then. And, a while ago when we spoke, I think on TikTok, these girls were giving out HIV testing information. What are your thoughts on that? Because for someone who doesn't do adult, you're very concerned and very vocal in that respect.
Yeah, no, I'm concerned because I have 2 daughters and I don't like seeing young girls, influenced. and like that in the negative way. And I, if people always say, oh, what if your daughter's, I go, first of all, my oldest, she's not going to be going into the adult industry, but I don't like it to seem so easy. My youngest, but giving HIV tests, where were they giving HIV tests on TikTok?
They were just saying things about it like you didn't need it. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of these younger girls or a lot of these current adult content creators are they're coming down with things that you and I have never heard of.
Gonorrhea real bad. They've gonorrhea. Yeah.
There's some other exotic name for something else. What is it?
Some super strain of something, I remember.
Yeah, Ruby Lynn was just on my show and told me, I'm like, what are these things? Like even an Indian doctor with some weird exotic name couldn't name these things. And
I quit collabing because I think one girl I collabed didn't want to go get testing because her husband, it's just her and her husband. And it's like, you don't know if he's cheating. And like, I don't have time for that. So I quit collabing, and what I do is a lot of video calls with my fans. I treat them the way I treated them in the strip club. I'm happy like that. I'm happy with the interaction with them, but I quit collabing because they are crazy. And I don't feel like coming down with something. And then that's why I'm moving on to the podcast and trying to make money that way.
I think you're safer doing a podcast and a phone call than you are collabing with people, because these girls are from a different school. They're not from our school. Are you a night flirt? What do you want if people want to call you? And
I have Sex Panther.
So guys, what is it? Sex Panther?
Yeah, Sex Panther. SEXT Panther. Like the,
I'm confused how this guy, Master Blaster, knows this. Too many antibiotics have caused the super strains of normal STDs. What are we doing taking all these antibiotics to start with anyway? What's it for, really?
Yeah. And that's why many antibiotics can be bad for your body, because what if you really come down with something serious? And now that's why I said, like, there needs to be somebody speaking the truth, telling the truth, instead of, oh yeah, I made this amount. And they're BSing you.
To each his own. Mm-hmm. But back in my time, I never would have worked with, and I'm not trying to sound like a horrible person, because I have friends that are LGBT, but I would never work with a trans person. I would never work with someone who's actively doing leather people stuff, gay stuff. That's my term for leather people, for gay is leather people, like Rob Halford, because he's wearing leather all the time. But anyway, but I wouldn't. And I think like that's another thing, we're going into a different territory of people being shamed for not, doing certain things. And then you're catching things that those people are susceptible to,
August Ames unalived herself because she was shamed.
I remember. Yeah. I thought that was whatever happened to my body, my choice. That's like the biggest that's such a hypocrisy. Let's see. You take them. Okay, here we go. So Master Blaster, are you a doctor? He's saying you take them for very minor things, and then the virus revolves and becomes immune to. Well, yeah, that's true. So if you take too many antibiotics, you could just,
I'm too old to be getting sick like that.
Yeah, we all are at this point in our lives. So what's your handle on Sex Panther?
They could look at Marcela Alonso. They could just look up and they'll find me.
Okay. And guys, don't forget, like, don't it's one thing when you reach out to girls on their social media, but you have to respect their time, and time is money. So if you do decide to hit up Marcela Alonso, hit her up on like Sex Panther.
Yeah. Or my OF is ilovemarcela.com. That's another. Yeah, no. And I'm
ILOV?
Yeah, ILOV Marcela with 1L.com. I just bought the domain so that way I could say it, opposed to, it's just easier. Yep. And then they could see both of my podcasts at Marcela. They can download and listen at marcelalonso.com. I bought so many.
Spell your name. I'm so sorry. I couldn't spell your name though, because I want them to have the right spelling.
Oh, Marcela Alonso, MarcelaAlonso.com.
Wow, that's so simple. Oh my God.
So that way, if I'm somewhere publicly, I can that link has my podcast and my affiliates. So if I'm somewhere publicly and I don't want anybody knowing my OF for whatever reason, I give them marcelalonso.com. If I also have I Love Marcela And then I've bought in so many domains. Somebody goes, I want to buy something from your wish list. Spoilmarcela.com.
I kind
I'm
of like this.
using my marketing degree from college that I paid my tuition for.
I know. It's like, I'm thinking right now, so my degree's from Columbia, and I'm thinking, like, do I sue the Ivy League university I received my degree from? Because now look at what it's become such a shit show. I know that there's a lawsuit going on right now for current students, but there are people that won't hire even old graduates from Ivy Leagues, especially Columbia, because of all the minutia that's going on. So I'm thinking about it. It's a shame when you pay your tuition to some of these places. You really hope that they upkeep these standards for life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a shame. It's very embarrassing. Hey, Christian. Christian's a crime historian, and he's a Marcela fan as well. Hi guys. But do you have any messages for your friend? Because I know that you've got to go early because you have a class in the morning. And so do you have any messages for the fans tonight?
Please, I need ratings on my podcasts. I need to get downloads. This means so much to me right now. That's what I'm working for. Yeah.
So rate and review the podcast. You want to give the name of your podcast again?
I have Sunday Fun Day with Marcela Alonso. That's my comedy podcast. And then I have Get Schooled with Marcela Alonso. That's the adult entertainment podcast. And you can find both Spotify links on marcelaalonso.com.
Okay. And I'll rate and review you, and just rate and review me, and we'll do that.
Yes.
That type of safe collaboration where there are no like fluids exchange or no STDs or anything like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like safe collaborations. Yes.
Well, stay in touch. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I can't wait to be on your show.
Yes. Let me know what date is good and then the time frame. Because I know you might be later than earlier for me. So I get it.
All right. Groovy.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, guys. So yeah, I know that we started earlier today because we had a guest that needed to be done earlier. Hold on a second. There we go. I'm still like learning StreamYard because I know you guys told me to get on StreamYard, but I wanted to thank all of you guys for coming in tonight for tonight's show. I'd appreciate you guys if you also rated and reviewed Crazy Train podcast on iTunes and Spotify, specifically iTunes. So it's Crazy Train with a K, like capital K, Crazy Train. And make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And there's always all kinds of great content. So next week's guest I'm working on, but I do have someone that was in the chat tonight. Good night, Scott. That I might bring on. I don't know. I have to talk to her and see if she agrees to do it. And she was in this chat tonight. She's been in here a couple of times. Some of you know who she is. I know Paul knows who she is. I know Christian knows who she is. But I just have to have a discussion with her to see what the parameters are. But it would be a very extreme guest, I think. I think so. So I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking about it. And I think she's still in the chat, but I'll have to talk to her. And a lot of you know her from her extreme days at, at XPW and Extreme Associates. So again, this is someone who doesn't do podcasts very often, but hey, I think we're in a very weird time right now for this country. So, let's all keep it positive when we go out there. And, I'll look into whoever Diana Prince is. If someone knows who she is, just send me over like her socials. This week's episode of Crazy Train Podcast is Kitty Quinn. I had her on here earlier on the live stream, but she is my guest this week. That episode drops Wednesday. So don't forget, every Wednesday, tune into iTunes to Crazy Train Podcast. And over the week, we always put all kinds of cool content on here. I guess that's it. Ooh, it's been like an early one today, I think. It's just so much going on, and I'm getting ready to leave for Salt Lake City, Utah this weekend to work for Devotion Championship Wrestling. Then the 18th of this month, I go to Phoenix Championship Wrestling. Hi, Richard. Oh, God. It's my friend who has a podcast who's crazy. Yeah, there we go. Kinky Horror Podcast. And don't forget to stop by Rock and Horror Apparel. That's ROCKNHORR apparel.com for all of your, your scary movie needs and everything else. And as you know, we also have a friend of mine who is in the hospital in Japan, my friend Necro Butcher, who is a wrestler. He was also in the movie The Wrestler. So, stop by the GoFundMe And hi, Frankie. Yeah, thank you. Everything's going to be great this weekend. It's been a very trying time. And also May 30th, I will be working for a company in California in Baldwin Park. I don't have all the details yet, but that's next. Thanks so much for joining me tonight, guys. Don't forget, hi, John. Necro's doing okay. They haven't done any surgery on him because he's in Japan in a foreign place where they're not doing the surgery. This is about money. Master Blaster, send me your links if you can, please. Just like tweet it at me or something. See you, Jamal. Have a good evening. Okay, so Necro Butcher is still in Japan. They have not done any surgeries on him because I think it's about money, and that's what it's always about. So he's just laying there in pain, and the hospital bills are piling up, and they're not cheap over there either. I have to say that. It's kind of pricey. So we're dealing with that right now, and what has to be done after, because chances are if he comes back to the States with his hips the way they are and the leg, they'll just have to re-break the shit. He'll be out again. So yeah, it's not a very good thing right now. Lizzie, if you're still in the chat, people want to know if you would agree to come onto the podcast. So let me know. I think a lot of people would like to have Lizzie Borden as a guest on the show. I know I would. I know a lot of people would. And sometimes I get really cool guests. Sometimes, it's just me rambling on. Sometimes I'm as crazy as the My Pillow guy. Is there any way for Necro Butcher to get back? He could barely move. So he's laid up in a hospital bed, laying there. It's nothing glamorous about that. Cornered off and gets fed 3 meals a day and is in pain. It's only an exploded hip and something's wrong with the leg, no big deal. And yeah, it is a big deal. So we have t-shirts that are up right now, and it's on my Instagram. So we're doing that. We're sending all the proceeds of that to his medical bills. And other than that, I think I'm going to sign out of here and have an early dinner. I'm actually watching right now on Netflix a show called The Asunta Case. I don't know. What are you guys watching on Netflix these days? But the Asunta Case is based upon a real life crime story. I just got done with Scoops, or The Scoop. It was about the Prince Andrew Jeffrey Epstein scandal. There are a lot of great crime documentaries on there right now. So hopefully, one of the guests that we have on here one day is my friend who's a crime historian, Christian Cipollini, or maybe Robert Rand, who wrote the Menendez brothers book. But for now, I just try to keep it light and keep it fun and have some fun, cool people that I personally like because they're just fun to catch up with. And I haven't seen Marcela in a while. So don't forget to hop onto her podcast. Don't forget to rate and review Crazy Train Podcast. Subscribe, download it all the time. And I guess that's it for this evening. Yes, I want to see my cat. I think he misses me. The other way, is there a way for Necro Butcher to get back? Yes, if he could sit on a plane from Japan to the States, which is probably well over a 16-hour flight, sure, there's a great way to do it. But there's not, and he's going to be coming by, I think, via first class or business class. So then that way it's not a, it's not going to be a long, painful trip, just a long trip back. Who's better than me? Nobody, except my cat, maybe. I have a black cat. His name is Enzo. And I post photos on my Instagram every day of like cats, like AI cats doing different things, like eating sushi, doing aerobics. And my friends have told me to seek therapy, to speak to my therapist, because it's getting out of control. But I'm not going to speak to a therapist and bother them with that shit, because that's not like real life shit. But always throw at me any of these guests you'd like. I'm in touch with some people you've all spoken to, but sometimes it's a matter of coordination. And if you stay tuned, there will be one of these on a weekend with Val Venus, because he and I will be live streaming about a bunch of topics. So you got to have like a couple of hours carved out for something that special, because he's a handful to talk to. So don't forget, at the end of the day, be yourself. Everyone else is taking. You don't want to be kind. You don't have to be kind. Just be you. Do you. Lizzie Valentine and Angel. What about Lizzie Valentine and Angel? Oh, Amoroso. Yes. Angel Amoroso would be a good guest for this show. Lizzie would definitely be a very good guest. I think a lot of the guys would like that. I try to get as many hot chicks as I can, and sometimes we get dudes, but it's totally fine. Okay, I'm signing out for the night. With that said, be yourself, because everyone else is taken, and stay frosty.